Good afternoon, 3 o'clock update here at News Center, Maine. I'm meteorologist Ryan Breton. Dana Osgood is with me as well. She's out on the weather deck. We're going to get to her shortly, but want to bring you up to speed on the strong and in some cases damaging winds that are moving through the state. In just the last hour, Bangor gusting to 61 miles per hour, Scarborough Beach a gust to 59, Pemaquid Point and South Bristol 58 miles per hour, Castine to 48 miles per hour. All right, let's check out what's going on. We'll show you a couple of webcams or live tower cameras. This is the one here in Portland. You can see it is shaking and waving there in the wind, gusting right now to 41. The wind is still from the south, but that's going to change in about the next 45 minutes to an hour. The front is almost getting close to Portland. In Bangor, southerly wind 32 miles per hour, but the most recent gust 59, and the temperature there is at 56. Here's Kennebunk. You can see it not so bad now, but in Castine, or I should say in Camden, the worst is yet to come. 52, but in the next hour and a half, 2 hours, some of your strongest winds will be coming through. Speaking of, let's send it outside. Dana Osgood on the weather deck. What's going on outside now, Dana, and what's the latest on the power outage situation?
I'm outside right now, and I would say that it's raining very lightly. In fact, it's not really raining much at all if I put my hand out here, but it has been pretty windy. I think I'm in a little bit of a lull right now as I'm standing out here, but when I came out onto the weather deck, some of the furniture was in a little bit of a different spot, so that means some of our deck furniture was able to be moved by some of those higher wind gusts. We have a little bit of one coming in there. I did want to take an updated look, on some of those power outage numbers. So as of when I checked just a couple of minutes before coming out here, our outage numbers were about 34,000. That's approximately 30,000 from CMP, 3,500 from Versant, and about 600 from EMEC. And I would say just in the past 15 seconds of me saying that both the rain and the wind has begun to pick up. We are going to be here in Portland in the peak of this storm in the next half an hour or so. Areas of the mid-coast and down East Maine, a couple more hours ahead of that as this system moves from west to east across the state. Right now, I will send things in back to Ryan right as the rain and the wind is certainly picking up in the last 30 seconds.
Hey there, thanks Dana. Get warm, come on inside, although it is warm outside now. We're in the mid-50s. The worst of the weather is not going to last much longer in southern Maine. In fact, the cold front is right near the Maine-New Hampshire border. You can see in Sanford and Freiburg, it's not nearly as windy. Portland still gusting to 41, Wiscasset at 47. The farther east you are, the longer you have until the front passes, which means you have more time. In fact, look at the Bangor airport. This just came in. They just gusted to 64 miles per hour there. The wind coming right up the river into town. So there is a few more hours to go in eastern Maine, probably another hour or two on the mid-coast, and only about another half hour or so in places like Portland and Lewiston until the worst of the winds come to an end. Here's a look at the live radar. We had a pretty impressive thunderstorm actually. This is moving at about 90 miles per hour forward speed, coming out of the seacoast of New Hampshire, moving into the greater Portland area. It doesn't look like there's any lightning at the moment, but that probably contains pretty good burst of some wind. We'll move you upstream here to the mid-coast, and there are downpours there as well. There's the cold front. Ahead of it, the wind coming in out of the south. Behind it, the wind coming in from the west. It's the southerly winds that are most likely to cause any power outages. That's why once the front goes by, the odds for any additional power outages will be much lower. It's really just the next hour or so over southern Maine, another 2 or 3 hours mid-coast Penobscot Bay, and then another 4 or 5 hours over down East Maine until that front clears on through completely. Here are some of the wind damage reports, and notice if you're with us the last hour, we have a lot more now from greater Bangor, so that's where we're going to focus. And obviously they just hit a gust to 64 miles per hour, so I imagine there are many more damage reports coming in there. Tree down, blocking power lines in Milford on County Road. This is just an example. Another one from Orono, trees down on wires. Dedham, we have a report of a tree partially blocking the Man Hill Road. So those are just some examples of damage reports that we have seen all across the state. You can also tell on the temperature map, there's the front. The temperature in Laconia, New Hampshire has already dropped, and that's going to be sliding east here over the next couple of hours. Hour by hour, the rain will come to an end over the next 2 hours or so in southern Maine, and then after 6 o'clock in eastern Maine, Fortunately though, and I'll show you the temperatures in a minute, they're not going to crash really quickly. So I think we avoid a flash freeze. That said, some surfaces will ice up, especially any standing water. Here's a look at one of our computer models for the wind gusts. The timing here is what I want you to focus on. Pretty much done by 4 o'clock around a lot of southern Maine for the damaging winds, still through about 6 o'clock around Bangor, and then it takes until after 6 to wind down the winds over down East Maine. Then it's coming out of the west, and sure, it's still gusty, but we get gusty westerly winds all the time, so it's not going to be anything that we can't handle. On the northeast temperature view, we have 50s here, 30s and 20s to the west. So you can see the cold air that's coming, and we'll just show you another view of one of our models here. It's lining up pretty well with what's happening right now. That front passes through, so by 6 p.m. it's already through the middle of the state, and then after 6 o'clock it moves through down East Maine. At 9 o'clock though, the vast majority of us are still above freezing. The exception being the northwestern mountains, Coos County, New Hampshire. So there is going to be some time for that westerly wind to help dry things out a bit. Probably doesn't do it completely, but I think we avoid a case where everything turns to ice immediately as soon as the rain comes to an end. We'll have time in between the rain. Tomorrow it's going to be windy in the morning, but the winds are going to ease up tomorrow afternoon. So it's a little bitter to start, but not so bad tomorrow afternoon. We'll give it one more check from meteorologist Dana Osgood if she is out still on the weather deck. Dana.
Dramatic change in the past few minutes, and it is now pouring out here. The wind has also picked up pretty dramatically, so I think what I talked to you last versus what I talked to you now, conditions have deteriorated a fair amount. I think you can see that there has been a lot of rain falling right now, and obviously the rain and the winds will continue to pick up over the next few hours. So I did just want to add that a little bit of an update that before it didn't look as dramatic, but right now it is certainly raining a lot harder and our wind gusts have become a lot stronger. And we'll have some more updates both out in the field or out on the weather deck and in the studio as we go into our evening newscasts. Ryan, I'll send things back to you. I can say that I am not cold out here, but I am a little bit rained on at this point.
All right, Dana, thanks very much. Come on in and dry out for a bit. Stay with us. We've got updates. You can get the latest power outage numbers on our website, newscentermaine.com. And we are back with you live from 4 to 7 p.m. on News Center Maine and News Center Maine Plus. Dana and I, along with our new meteorologist, Alan Holt, will be with you starting at 4. So we will see you then.